Hello, welcome back to 8-Bit Popcorn. Thanks for your attendance. We're checking in with our board of directors. That's you, the listener, and updating you on our quarter one of 2021 and what we've been watching. With you is our CFO, Ryan.
Hello, how's it going?
And our head of marketing, Zara.
Hey everyone.
And your CEO and all-round lovable face of the company, me, Joe. How are you? This week, we'll be rounding up some of the things we've been watching, listening to, and playing and reading. There'll be probably even a favorite and least favorite list in here somewhere, so that's something to look forward to. So thanks for joining us for this profitable endeavor. Now let's see just what/who we've been doing in the first months of that horror that is 2021. Ooh.
That was very corporation of you, Joe. Playfully corporation.
Playfully corporate, that's me.
Yeah, playfully corporate.
That was great.
Good.
I liked all the analogies.
We have to step. I feel like I have to step my game up. Joe is on his way to publishing a book, so he knows how to.
Exactly.
He knows how to do English.
Bust that out. I know how to English.
Yep. Me with my
We've got to step up our intro game.
BA degree doesn't equate.
Just doesn't quite cut it. No,
to Joe's masters.
Not enough.
To my masters and my potentially published book. So here we go.
Like an 11 plus and a GCSE. No, 11 plus compared to a master's.
An 11 plus.
Do you remember the 11 plus?
I've only got one 11 plus, guys. How many of you guys got? We've got 10.
Yeah, I did get an 11 plus, yeah. So let's get on with this week's topic. Have you made a list of what you've been watching / reading or playing or whatever?
I have to make a list these days for everything. I'm like a granny. I'll just forget.
Yeah.
You're like a granny.
So why don't you go then, Zara? What's your list?
Okay. Well, my list was
category
separated.
Or whatever.
Yeah, I separated into films that I'd rewatched, which so stuff I'd seen before that I kind of went back to, which was Source Code and Fish Tank. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those ones.
Source Code?
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal, kind of in a time loop.
It's very good.
Yeah, on a train, and it's I just thought, that's a cool film to go back and see. I hadn't seen it since uni, and it still had a lot of heart and a lot of cool.
You're just a big fangirl for Jake Gyllenhaal, aren't you?
Timey-wimey stuff. Do you know what I wasn't back in the day? And now I've seen Donnie Darko. I saw it in the last couple of years for the first time, and a couple other things. And
have you seen Nightcrawler?
I was about to say, Joe, actually, I think it was you that was talking about Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
It's
I haven't. I need to see that. It's been on my list.
You need to check it out. Not even just for the kind of themes and it's really well explored.
I should be making a list
if you like the neo-noir
stuff,
stuff,
if you guys say something interesting.
Which is rare. And then Fish Tank is Andrea Arnold. Sort of like a girl using dance to like escape a difficult life, and there's like an uneasy relationship between her and her mother, and then the new boyfriend, she gets kicked out of school. It's kind of a really good fresh take on the like council estate drama, and it was really cool. We programmed it for a kind of online screening, so I had rewatched it for that, and it was just really cool to go back again. It was one of the films we looked at in British cinema in my undergrad, and I remember the last scene where she like gets up and dances with the mum. And it'd been such a journey. Like I was really invested in this film, and I was like, "This is such a good film." And everyone else was kind of like Skyping that day. There wasn't that many people in class, and I was like right at the back. And thank goodness I was, because I like started to cry and I got really emotional. I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's like dancing with her mom because she's like free and stuff." And I was gone. God. And then whenever the like credits went, I was like, "And don't put the lights up. Don't put the lights up, lecture." and he was like, "Okay, I'm just going to give everyone a minute, because there's a lot of topics in there, a lot of themes." I was like, "Thank you, yes." And I like pretended I was like writing my notes, and I was like looking down because it was just didn't want to be like
overwhelmed.
But a little overwhelmed. But it's interesting the things that you see when you rewatch things like that. I didn't get so much of the emotion, but the more the family dynamics kind of came through. So it's just cool to sometimes go back and revisit. Did you guys look at stuff that you'd kind of seen before, or was it all kind of new stuff?
I've mostly been watching new stuff.
Mine's a mix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I actually started watching I seen my brother yesterday, Andrew, and he's big into his DC and his Marvel and his comics. He always has been. And he suggested actually Amazon's Invincible, if anybody's familiar with that.
I've been watching that. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I only watched 2 episodes of it last night, actually. And it's kind of hand drawn, hand animated animated in the way that like maybe you would have watched the earlier kind of Spider-Man cartoons on like Fox on a Saturday morning sort of thing, or X-Men, kind of the earlier X-Men cartoons. And it's actually got a really good cast, and it's very adult in its themes and even in its animation, because there's a lot of blood and gore. Like when they put, the heroes will put fists through skulls. It can get that graphic. As I say, I've only watched 2 episodes, but I'm really enjoying it. Well, Zara, if you haven't watched it, it's essentially, the story of this younger kind of boy, he's to come of age and kind of develop superpowers like his father, who's essentially like a Superman kind of doppelganger, really.
Okay.
And then, so he's waiting for his powers to develop. And then once he kind of comes of age, then he'll want to kind of join some sort of like team or force, or, what's it called? Guardians of the Globe.
Yeah.
And it's just a series of villains and events that happen worldwide. And you've got loads of miniature kind of versions of the Justice League or Marvel's Avengers. And I mean, it's just an exact kind of homage or parody to any, suppose, like comic book or Marvel movie or DC movie that you've watched in recent days, but really well animated, even a good cast. Like you've got...
at the moment, I would like J.K. Simmons.
I was going to say, yeah, you got J.K. Simmons as one of the lead. He's kind of, what do you call him?
Mr. Omni-Man.
Is it Omni-Man? Is it Omni-Man?
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying kind of that dynamic between father and son, and he's just kind of developing his powers as a teenager, and his father's teaching him how to use his powers and use them respectfully. And then it's kind of dealing with those themes of where he's learning that superhero, being a superhero isn't just about going into the world and, fighting and flying and saving the world. It's dealing with the consequences of not necessarily, say, taking down a villain safely and a controlled environment, or the fact that people may die as a result of you not being fast enough or smart enough. And I'm really enjoying it. So that's something I've came across in the last day.
Sounds really good. Sounds like the opposite of The Boys in a way.
Well, that's something else.
Well, actually, I would describe it as like a cross between Kick-Ass and The Boys.
Okay.
Well, I've yet to watch
like
The Boys.
almost tone-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Boys is good. Boys is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend The Boys, Ryan, definitely. Yeah, I think you'd enjoy it too. It's
I've had loads of people telling me to watch The Boys.
It's a step above. It's kind of, you need to be in the right headspace, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I've been watching Invincible. I started watching, as I say, I said last week's episode, Desperate Housewives.
Yeah.
I kind of had that as a bit of a guilty pleasure, but then you guys agreed with me anyway. So there's just so much going on in this show. I remember on Thursday sitting watching it with my dad Thursday evenings, and only for the first couple of seasons, so I don't even know how it ended. But it's nice to kind of go back and see Wisteria Lane and all the backstabbing and all the gossip and everything happening. And I don't know, maybe I just became a bit of a bitch in my older ages. But I'm really enjoying watching Desperate Housewives. I think it's good writing.
Love that, yeah.
What else have I been watching? I've been watching actually a lot more behind the scenes stuff. Just in terms of like, obviously with the likes of the Snyder Cut, or I was looking at kind of some stuff in Marvel there. And I used to love watching behind the scenes content of just my favorite movies. So I've actually been kind of going back and just looking at a lot of kind of behind the scenes. I don't know. I just like seeing people working in that environment, and I could just sit and watch it for hours. Doesn't matter even if it's something as, like Star Wars or Phantom Menace, which is a long time ago now. I'll still sit and just type that into Google, and I'll just sit and watch random behind the scenes content. I really, really enjoy that. I tried the X-Files recently. I remember being petrified of the X-Files as a kid, and I wanted to go back and start watching through some of those. I've only watched one episode, but I haven't actually given it a real chance to get into that, I suppose. I take it neither of you watched the X-Files.
Is it the old one you're watching, or the
old
new
one? The old one, yeah.
Yeah, it's on. It was on late night on some channel, and I'm trying to think, like sort of late last year. And I was kind of watching a few episodes. A lot of the ones I didn't remember. I think my parents were really into it, and I think they sort of watched it maybe after I went to bed. Not so sure if they would have let me sit up, but yeah, I remember there was always one that stuck in my mind where there was a guy in the driving seat of a van or something, and he turned around to, I think it was maybe Scully, and it was like bugs or something came out of his face or his mouth or something, like bees maybe or something. And I just remember being like, whoa, okay, not gonna watch this. And it just scared me.
It was terrifying. It was terrifying. I didn't have the balls to watch it either, so I kind of wanted to watch it now just to see, as an adult. Yeah, I do love watching good horror stories. Like, has anybody been watching? There's a series on Netflix. I think it's called Night Stalker. Sorry, we talked about this before.
Oh,
yes. Is the true story one?
Yeah, well, there's another one I watched there not that long ago called Hotel Cecil. which is a budget hotel in
Oh.
downtown LA, and there's just so much.
Was this like
so
a
much going
ghost
on.
thing?
They kind of allude to the
Kind of?
fact, yes, if you haven't watched it all the way through, at one point they come to some sort of a conclusion. They start kind of hinting that it could have been paranormal because obviously this woman goes missing, and they show this
Yes, I
elevator
remember the
footage,
story.
and you can see that she's obviously hiding from somebody, and it looks
Mhm.
even her body movements look really weird, and they're trying to think, was there somebody outside the elevator? Why wasn't the elevator door closing? Is somebody
Mhm.
holding it? And then, is she speaking to nobody? Is it paranormal? So like, I really
Probably
enjoy
not.
those stories. Well,
Yeah,
it wasn't.
it was.
It
Yeah,
wasn't.
it was. There was a whole thing. Yeah,
She was
but
on,
I
on this
read up on her
medication, and she
story.
ended up,
Yeah,
spoiler
it was
alert,
really
she's like
sad,
bipolar and
actually.
all
It was
sorts, and she came
awful.
off the medication and ended up going up to the roof and into one of the water tanks and jumped inside and drowned,
But
and they
then
couldn't
also
find
there
her
was a
for
lot
days.
to that because it was that they said that it was so heavy that how could she have, you know what I mean? They were like, was her body dumped? Was did she climb in herself and drown? Like there was so
And they
much
started
to
accusing
it, I
like the
remember.
staff as well, like they could have had a part in this, and the
Mhm.
history of the hotel as well. And I said the Night Stalker because he was a very frequent
He,
stayer at that
yeah,
hotel. Like
he was,
people
wasn't he?
said
Oh, was
that
he?
they
Yeah. Oh.
vividly remember images of him walking up, the alleyway around the building or up the stairs in the middle of the night, with maybe wearing no clothes,
So
covered in
scary.
blood. But I mean,
Ugh.
it's that kind of hotel where you don't say anything. Like all sorts went on in that hotel.
Oh my
So I love
goodness.
those kind of really interesting stories.
Be fun to work there.
I just find people very weird and oddly motivated. And sometimes I think it's just odd because you can't imagine people that this happens.
Yeah,
I
that's
find
very
stories like
true.
that really interesting.
It's so unbelievable.
It's very morbid, but I do find it interesting.
Yeah, serial killers are pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah,
They
I
are.
had a
I mean, they are.
fascination back in the day. I feel like not so much now.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
It's a bit scary now.
Yeah.
If anything, I think I would
What
like.
about you, Joe?
Oh, no, go ahead, Ren.
Well, I
Yeah.
was just going to say, if
Oh,
anything, I
sorry.
think actually I would like to reduce screen time. There's a guy at work, and he's actually been saying that he's reduced his screen time to about 2 hours a night, as opposed to maybe being 4 hours, maybe across the entire day. He's reduced down to 2 hours in a day, which I think is really impressive. And I would like to do that. I'd like to actually reduce my screen time. But then as somebody who loves ingesting media, it's not easy. That being said, I don't just sit and scroll through Instagram and then hop over to Twitter and then hop over to Facebook and then hop over to TikTok. Like I'm not on social media. I don't care about that stuff. If anything, YouTube's my main platform that I would spend all my time on. But I don't think it's too bad because you're getting a lot of knowledge and information there. So
Yeah, I'd like to reduce mine as well. I've been definitely checking my phone less. I'm not so much. I think whenever we had more time on our hands, that it was easier to just be like, oh, I'll just check this or check that or whatever, Facebook or whatever. But now that I have more kind of that I'm focusing on, it's easier to kind of be like, I'm going to leave that until this evening
we're
or
at the point now
tomorrow
where
morning or whatever.
if my internet is like, if I click say on Disney Plus from Netflix and you click play movie and that gives you a little buffering wheel and it takes even 5 seconds,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, for
How
flip's
dare
sake.
you?
I know you get annoyed. I'm not angry,
Yeah.
but you do sit and go, which is ridiculous. Like you're getting
Yeah.
a movie at the power of your fingertips because it takes 5, maybe 10 seconds. You're sitting there about to punch the TV. I'm not that
I know.
bad, but yeah, it's pretty pathetic.
No, but it is. I mean, like if a video stalls on YouTube or anything, I'm like, what are you doing, internet? What are you doing?
I hate buffer wheels. Do you know what actually really pisses me off? YouTube, it's a love-hate relationship. I love YouTube because there's so much content on there, but if my internet connection is that bad that I can't actually play the video for whatever reason, but there's always enough connection to play the fucking adverts.
Yeah.
Those
It's-
ads will always
always.
play, always. And then once
Yeah.
the ad finishes, then I'll let you know that it can't connect or can't stream it at proper resolution. And I'm like,
They must use like a priority streaming thing. for
but you can
adverts or
play the
something.
advert easily
You
enough.
must do, yeah.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that.
Mm.
That drives
Yeah.
me mad.
So annoying.
Yeah, well, the last few weeks I haven't really been watching that much. I've mostly been reading.
Reading and writing.
Reading books. Reading and writing, yeah.
books.
That's
But
more
I
productive.
have been like watching some TV in the evenings, mostly TV shows rather than movies. I think I mentioned like all the movies and stuff that I watched near the start of the year in one of our podcasts. So the one that stands out for me there is the Trial of the Chicago 7.
Oh, yeah.
It was really, really good, and I would still recommend that people watch it because it's kind of stuck in my head. But I did watch a couple of TV shows, the likes of Penny Dreadful. Yeah, it was okay.
Mm.
Wasn't great. Penny Dreadful, if you didn't know, is like a horror series set in Victorian London. because like every horror show is set in Victorian London. And Penny Dreadful comes from the serials that used to be about at that time, like Jack the Ripper and, you know, wee folk tales and things like that. They printed them in Penny Dreadfuls or played them in Penny Dreadfuls, which were like theater shows. But the one that stood out for me in terms of TV was It's a Sin. It's Channel 4.
I've heard a lot of people saying I should watch that.
Really, really good. It's
Apparently
Channel 4
really good.
program written by Russell T Davies, who you might remember from Doctor Who or from Queer as Folk. And it's about like the AIDS crisis in the 1980s and early 90s. And it follows people in London, and it's really well written, extremely well acted. You've got some people that you might recognize from different things, but it's mostly sort of more unknown actors. And it's funny, but it's also, as you can imagine, with it being about the AIDS crisis, really sad.
I was going to say, it must be very uncomfortable to watch.
Because, yeah, a few parts of it.
Is it somewhat about people who they know
really
they have
fun.
AIDS, but they're just going around and sleeping with other people anyway?
No, well, I mean, there is like a slight element of that, you know, towards the end of the story, but more it's like a background kind of thing, you know. In the first few episodes, it's not even like called AIDS. It's called it was called something else before it was called AIDS. They called it like gay some virus, so it was called like G something. And so they refer to it by that, because that's what it was actually named back then. And then it, you know, sort of develops into the AIDS crisis that we have heard about, we haven't lived through, but it's very, very impactful. It made me very anxious whenever I watched it, just like, oh my God, this is just so crap. And it highlights how governments sort of don't deal with things that are to do with minorities. Actually, if you want like a real, just going off topic, actually, no, it's pretty on topic. If you want to learn more about that and more about you know, how governments are, you know, even just institutions themselves, like suppress things or alter things or whatever, there's a great video by Philosophy Tube, and they deal with experts. I think it's an episode called like Experts, and it's all about how the experts down around the AIDS crisis were claiming a lot of things that were not true, or that were actually actively harmful to the people who had it. So go educate yourselves on that one. But at the minute, so yeah, go watch It's a Sin. It's class. But at the minute, I'm actually just making my way through Schitt's Creek. It's a really good wee sitcom as well. It's fun. That's what I'm watching at the minute.
Love it. Very
Sounds
cool.
good.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of documentaries and things about kind of the people that came up with the first kind of cure or way to detect you know, cells and things like that. So yeah, there must be kind of, maybe there's an anniversary coming up or just went or something, because there was a lot of stuff kind of out there, people revisiting that, and it's really good to see people talking about it now with kind of hindsight and kind of the way the world is now. So it's, yeah, that's really good. That's really cool.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing about sorry, Zara, I'm just going on a little tangent for a second. The crazy thing about It's a Sin was that it was rejected by so many networks. You know, you went to the BBC, you went to ITV, whatever. And you'd think with somebody like Russell T Davies, who made like the biggest gay show ever, which was Queer as Folk. And then he revived Doctor Who and made it like really popular again as well. And they wouldn't touch it because of the subject matter. So, you know, the people who are, you know, going around saying, oh, gay people, trans people, minorities, black people, whatever, they're getting so much representation at the minute. There isn't such a thing as prejudice or racism. Even though Channel 4 commissioned it, they still cut it down to 5 episodes from 8 episodes because of the subject matter, because they didn't think people would watch it, you know. And
even Channel 4, you always think of them as being really like liberal,
progressive,
and open, and wow.
I have to give it a watch.
Even now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
even
have to check
now.
it out actually. Even
what a world
now.
we live in.
We think we're so progressive.
Yeah.
Actually, off the back of what you were saying, Ryan, about kind of superhero stuff, I went back to the Batman, which was the 2004 cartoon. I'm trying to think where it was originally shown, whether it was it like CITV or something?
CBBC or something?
Maybe it was the CBBC.
And is it the one that goes, the Batman?
I think so, yeah. I think
I'm trying to remember.
It's the one where the Riddler is like a mix between like Marilyn Manson and Shan Yu from, Shan Yu from Mulan. He's kind of like, he's just basically those two. And he was my favorite because he always had like really like sassy like riddles that he'd say, and he'd be like, using like sleeping gas on Batman and Robin, and then
Yeah.
they'd be like, and yeah, Catwoman and Robin looked kind of like they were like little kids, or like they were like teenagers. And then Batman was this kind of like he had like a ragged cape, like his cape was all like ripped, and it was just like really, it's quite emo, it's quite cool.
Edgy.
So yeah, I went back to that, and it was just on YouTube, so I've just been watching a couple episodes of that. It's been a nice little nostalgia trip. We love some back to
It
the
kind of doesn't make
early
any sense when you
2000s.
think about Cape being
Yeah.
ripped, because if you imagine being a single tear in a parachute, you're fucked. And he's jumping off and
Like, how
pulling
does
all
that work
sorts of
aerodynamically?
aerobatics. Yes, I
Yeah.
know. I know. That doesn't make sense.
It was just
As
for-
children,
just-
you don't question that. As adults, you're just
no,
very
you definitely
pessimistic
don't.
and just
You're like,
very.
it's so cool.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Just like-
Danny.
That's ridiculous. I've actually started going back and watching through some of the Dragon Ball series, the Dragon Ball Z.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
Yeah.
I love Dragon Ball Z. Absolutely love Dragon Ball Z. It was on every day as a kid coming home, 5 o'clock. It was on TV, and I love Dragon Ball Z, especially the
Love
Frieza
it.
saga. I absolutely loved it. But then my brother again, he was telling me all about the Dragon Ball Super, and they have obviously the Goku Black arc, which I've never seen before
Oh, yeah.
actually, and he says that's the best one. I thought, right, okay, I actually don't like Goku Black as a character. I think he sucks. I thought I'll give it a watch. Absolutely loved it. Fell in love with
Oh,
it.
really?
It was like it was like 30 episodes or something, but it was so well told. It just felt like classic Dragon Ball Z. It was good writing. And I was so happy that I was able to watch something like of Dragon Ball Z related that I had never actually seen before. So
Some new
I was like a
stuff, yeah.
child
Was that the
watching
one
Dragon
with
Ball Z.
Goku Rose or something?
Yes,
or
yes.
Rose?
Goku Black.
Was
I
that
think
that?
that was his. Wasn't that was Goku Black's
Was that one of
like
his-
form of Super Saiyan? Goku Rose.
Oh, maybe,
No,
yeah.
or was
I
it
remember them being.
when he merged with
Mm.
Zazamu? I can't remember the name now. It's been a while. But yes, Goku
Zamasu.
Zamasu, yes.
Oh, yeah,
But
Zamasu,
Rose,
yeah.
I did think that was stupid. I don't like this whole. We've changed our
I thought
hair
that was
color, so we'll
brilliant.
just call it Goku, Super Saiyan Blue or Goku Rose, and it's like no,
Yeah, Ultra Instinct.
yeah. Like I
Well, when they're
loved-
God, they're like really like pinky
Mhm.
red, aren't they?
I
Yeah.
really, yeah.
I think
that's why it had to be
it
rosé.
gets confusing.
Mhm.
It gets confusing. I think they should have just continued down the route of
There's a lot of different
was it
forms.
Dragon Ball GT where Goku and Vegeta, the genes were silly, but once they went to Super Saiyan 4, they had obviously like fur on them, like an ape, and the fur was red.
Yeah.
And they had their
Ah.
tails, and the tail was red and everything. And I thought like that's pretty cool, and I thought then they obviously GT is not canon anymore, so they just reverted back to Super, I suppose. And every time there's an upgrade, it's just another hair color. I think it's just a bit lazy.
Yeah.
In the same way that you've got Resurrection F, that movie, and they brought back Frieza, and it was just Golden Frieza, and I thought that's just lazy as fuck.
Yeah.
Nobody liked that. It
How
was
do
just
we make
horrible.
Frieza
Yeah.
stronger? Disco.
Yeah,
I like when he goes into a little egg to like level up.
Yeah.
Like when he's in like his little dome.
yeah.
It's like he's changing and he's like, "Don't watch me."
This isn't even my final form.
My God, I love the Frieza voice.
so much.
Yeah.
Frieza's amazing. I can never tell whether Frieza was a boy or a girl growing up.
I never knew.
I know it's a man, but I
still
always
don't
kind of
know.
wondered, is that a girl? Because just
Refer
smooth
to
like a Barbie
Frieza as
doll.
there.
Yeah.
I was always like,
They-
"Why is he wearing his pants on the outside of his trousers?" And then I was like, "Oh, that's his skin." Okay.
yeah, it was confusing. And then the voice was, could be male, could be like an elderly woman. I don't
Androgynous.
know. Yeah, it was odd.
Mm.
But I love Dragon Ball
Have
Z.
you heard Goku's voice in the Japanese dub?
It's like
Yeah.
a wee old woman,
Yeah.
isn't it?
They're all
Yeah, it's
screaming,
so
high
weird.
pitched. Yeah.
I think it is an old lady,
Yeah.
an old
It is a
Japanese
woman
lady
that does it,
Is
yeah.
it?
And I just said, what?
Yeah, it's so
I
good.
wonder because
Yeah.
it's not iconic. Like when you hear Goku's voice or Piccolo's voice or phrases, like to me, that's iconic. And then
I think Vegeta's is really iconic.
yeah, yes.
He
but
just
then
sounds
you kinda
annoyed
look
all
at
the
the- When you look at the
Yeah.
Japanese version, to me, they all sound the same. The voices sound the same. I don't think that's racist, but the
Is it?
voices all
No.
sound the same. So and I wonder, do they think our voices all sound the same? Do they think Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza? Do
Probably.
you think they
Yeah,
all sound the
probably.
same?
Probably all think we sound like this when we're doing voiceovers for
Yeah.
anime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, that's the same over here. It's the same voices all over again, like in every show. But I just find it bizarre that like Goku's so like muscular and stuff, and yet he does have a woman's voice. It's funny, like
I
the
think
first
it's
time I
great.
heard it, I was like, "What?" is this a joke? Because I was used to hearing, oh god, I can't remember his name. That does Goku's voice. I was just used to hearing him, and I thought that generally the English dubs usually picked somebody that sounded kind of like they do in the Japanese one. They certainly do that for like Naruto and Death Note and stuff. But for that one, I was like, oh, that's weird. He sounds like a child.
Yeah, and then the children sound really, really like super high pitched. They're like, woo,
Yeah.
like squeaking. Yeah.
Hello, helium children.
I started watching the abridged, the
The
Dragon Ball
abridged
abridged on
version,
YouTube,
yes.
Yeah.
where they kind of cut everything down and then like kind of dub it. So yeah, so I got really confused then when I watched an actual episode of
Oh,
Dragon Ball.
yes, I see what you
So
mean.
I was like,
yeah.
wait, what? You know what I mean? Because that was like my first
Yeah,
introduction
yeah.
to it, and then I was like, what?
Love Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. Have you ever seen that?
No,
I haven't
I was
seen
about to
that, no.
say,
It's really good.
Amazing.
I've
So
watched,
good.
I love Attack on Titan. I haven't actually seen the third season,
Oh yeah.
but I've seen Attack on Titan abridged, and that is funny. That is really funny.
Right, we've talked about some of the stuff we're watching. Is anybody playing any games or
I have
reading
something
an interesting
actually.
book or anything?
Yes,
Oh.
Go ahead.
I got a. What do you think I'm going to say?
PS5.
I did. I did.
Everyone's getting PS5s.
They all seem to be getting them now. It was paid for a long time ago, and it was just a case of, we'll wait. I'll wait. It'll eventually come.
Mm.
And I got one there. I haven't really had that much time with it, but I love it. It's really good. I only have Mortal Kombat for it, which came with it. I'm not a huge fan of Mortal Kombat, but that came, and Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
Oh, Miles Morales. Yeah.
Yeah, again, not a
Mhm.
huge fan of playing Spider-Man games, I suppose. But
I loved Spider-Man PS4. I thought it was
yeah.
class.
Oh, they're good games. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just prefer this was like the Batman Arkham series. But that being said, as I say, there's something about like my PlayStation 4 when I was getting to the end of its life cycle, it would do this thing where the PS button on the controller would no longer turn on the PlayStation. I have to unplug the power cord from the back of the PlayStation, have to wait about half an hour minimum, then plug it back in, and then attach the USB to the controller, then boot up the PlayStation by pushing the button on the actual console.
Jesus.
Wait till it gets to
Oh, damn.
press the PS button, then hold it. And usually 70% of the time that would work. If it didn't work, I had to wait another half an hour.
Oh no.
I just started doing it over the last year, and I didn't understand what it was. Like I took the exact same PlayStation, the same controller, the same cables to my brother's house. Works no problem, 100%. I take it to my house,
What?
won't work. I don't know what it is.
What?
And I've turned on and off electricity and on and off like different Bluetooth devices and
weird.
computers. I could not for a year figure it out, and it was really, really fucking frustrating. So there's something nice about just being able to sit down, press the PS button, and it just boots up. And I could
And it just
literally
comes
be
on.
playing a game in about 20 seconds, 25 seconds. You just put it up,
Yeah.
loads up, Spider-Man jumps you straight back into where you were in 5 seconds. And it's like, that was fast.
Yeah.
And even graphically, it is very impressive. Although Spider-Man Miles Morales, I suppose, it's a game that was developed for PS5 and 4. Where usually the game's
yeah,
much
it was a
higher fidelity
cross-platform
if
one,
it's
yeah.
just, for the console. So, yeah. So if there's a game that comes out that's just PS5 exclusive, I'm really curious to see how that looks graphically.
Are you playing it with ray tracing on or?
On.
Yeah.
As much the highest settings that I can have. But there's just not that much out at the minute, and I had no intentions actually of getting it anytime soon. Maybe later in the year. There's nothing out that really interests me game wise, but I got it early, so I was really, really chuffed. And like even the controllers, to me, they're Xbox controllers. I don't care what anybody says. They just went and took the Xbox controllers, which I love because I love Xbox. But the whole haptic feedback and the feel of the triggers and everything is just really cool.
What about you, Zara? Are you continuing your gamer journey?
I have yet to get past the glacier in Final Fantasy VII. I'm still climbing the glacier, guys. I'm not at the top yet. To be fair, I haven't gone back to play it in since maybe before Christmas. But yeah, I need to really finish Final Fantasy VII. That's kind of like my goal this year, is just to
It
get back.
will happen.
through.
It's a big game though. So.
It will. I believe it will. Because I know I have to go back to everywhere and then go back to Midgar. So I just know there's so much in front of me. I think sometimes it feels like a little bit overwhelming because I'm like, there's so much to do. But also it's going to be a lot of fun.
I saw this challenge. Well, I didn't see it, but I heard about it. Somebody tried to level up to the maximum level in Final Fantasy VII in the first area, and it took him over a year to do it.
Jeez.
So,
Then the rest
That's
of the game
amazing.
from
So
then
he's
on
just
is easy.
fighting people as he.
he was just
Whoa.
fighting the same enemies over and over again, you know. So it was crazy.
That's dedication.
Yeah.
I mean, I get when somebody
And
puts
then, yeah, as
something
you
like
say,
that up
Ryan,
on
then you're
YouTube.
moving on, and you're like,
Yeah, but I was going to say, like, when somebody puts something like that up on YouTube, you're like, wow, like, that's impressive. But then it takes a special type of person, I think, to sit and have the energy to do that. Like, I'd
Yeah,
never
to
in a million
actually do
years
it.
sit and do things like that, you know.
I'm just finding materia and
Mhm.
yeah,
Grinding
learning about
away.
all the different things that you can combine. And
I feel like,
different,
Zara, you would benefit from a Switch,
from what?
a Nintendo Switch.
Nintendo Switch.
Oh, a Switch.
Mhm.
Oh,
You
yeah,
probably
I probably
enjoy
would.
Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild's class.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
I've played it. It's good fun. It's nice and just relaxing.
Yeah, it's chill.
There's Star Wars stuff for that. I feel like there's a lot of different
For the Switch,
yeah, or maybe it wasn't Switch, maybe it was just Nintendo DS back in the
I don't know.
day.
I
I
know
don't
they
know.
went back
I
and
always
did a
remember
lot of
thinking
the
I'd want one of those.
Dreamcast
Yeah.
and Jedi Academy games. They've kind of not remastered that, but they've kind of given them a bit of a
They've re-released it on
Upskilling.
PS4.
yeah.
Mm.
They've released them on the Switch as well.
Yeah. Well, speaking
really
of Star
liked,
Wars.
Oh yeah, Star Wars, go for
Well,
it.
no, I played Jedi Fallen Order.
I was gonna say, you
like,
playing
towards the
that?
start of the year. It was good.
Ooh.
It was good. If
Hard.
you've played Dark Souls, you know, I played it on its hardest difficulty that I could, you know, because you unlock harder difficulties. It wasn't that difficult.
Star Wars.
There was
Right.
some hard bits, but in general, it's a pretty slow paced game. You know, if you played something like Dark Souls or Bloodborne, and you're pretty prepared for it. But, you know, coming from the likes of Devil May Cry 5, it's much slower, you know, so
Yeah.
you got that time to react. And I played Devil May Cry 5 on its hardest difficulty because I'm a hardcore gamer, you know? So, but
It
what
ain't
were you
no
going to say,
big thing.
Zara?
No, I was gonna say Force Unleashed was like my favorite thing
I
of all time.
love
Oh, yeah.
the first
It
Force
was
Was it-
Unleashed.
why was it
So good. It was so good. Because
I'm like,
you
I had
played
just
the villain,
played-
and you
Well,
could throw
yeah.
them out the windows into space and all that stuff.
But there were so many moves. But it
Mm-hmm.
was also, I feel like it was easier for someone like me who's not very good at like, I mean, combos, okay, yeah, fine.
Okay.
But just like in terms of general, like button, like I usually button bash because I
I was
panic.
gonna say, are you
But
button
for me, it was
masher?
like, it really suited my like style of gaming. And I had just played, I think I'd played Lego Star Wars. I don't know whether it was because I did the original, but then I think I had done, you know, like the three new films.
Mhm.
So I'd kind of just come from that, and I was so into my Star Wars. I was like, give me
Okay.
another game, and then it was like Force Unleashed, let's go, and it was just awesome.
Did
and
you
all
ever
the
play the second
cutscenes and
one?
all the.
No.
Oh, so
I
bad.
don't think so.
So bad. It's like 4 hours long.
Yeah.
There's like
that was the
one
biggest
mission
criticism.
fighting some Rancor type thing. I don't know, some monstrous
Oh,
monstrosity size of a building, and it like took you like an hour and a half, and it was like half the whole gameplay was just in that one fight, and I was like, this is utter shit. It's such a bad
Oh.
game. Horrendous.
I played the first one. I really enjoyed the story. I really
first
liked
one's
Star
brilliant.
Killer.
I
in it.
really enjoyed the first
Um,
one. Yeah. I
love
enjoy the
the
actor.
story.
Really-
What's the actor's name?
Oh God, Sam Witwer.
Yes, Sam. Yeah, because he's in this. He does a lot of kind
He
of the
does like
animated
Darth
voiceover.
Maul
Yeah,
and stuff.
and then
Yeah.
he was in that Days Gone game,
Yeah.
the motorcyclist, which was a shit game, like, but I do enjoy his performance.
But yeah,
Um,
I was raging whenever the mid hit and like not canon. I was like, Star Killer is one of my favorite characters. He was
Hmm.
the secret
Hmm.
apprentice of Darth Vader. And now who we got?
I love the
we
final
got
decision,
Rey.
and you could choose whether you want to go, fight Darth Vader or go straight to Sidious and just fight him. I love
Yeah.
that decision at
Mm.
the end of the game.
so cool.
Yeah.
I got me into like really, I don't know if anybody else does this, but you know, it's real nerdy. You watch like versus battles on YouTube, and I don't mean like, you know, death battle. I mean like, you know, people like picking different characters from Star Wars canon and like analyzing them for literally an hour and then going, they would win because of this reason, and they would win
No.
because of that reason, and they use this form of lightsaber combat and they're good at this, and you're just like, oh my God,
Oh,
I'm a
that's so
nerd.
cool.
I know more about Star Wars than about politics.
There's I don't know who it is that done it. I haven't seen it in years, but there was a channel on YouTube, and they would produce just random battles. So they would take,
Like
say,
Death
Darth
Battle?
Vader, and but it was very highly produced, and it would be like Darth Vader versus
Yeah,
Superman
I
or
think it
something
is Death
crazy like
Battle.
that. You know, and then
Yeah,
it
and
was
they'd analyze their
very well.
skills and their
But no, it
Yes.
wasn't an it wasn't an analysis. It was an
would
actual
do
like
like a
actors,
video, yeah.
set, cameras, shot production, everything
Oh,
choreographed,
was it?
and you see these
Oh.
two fight it out, and it'd be something like like Darth Vader versus Superman, and the next episode was
Yeah.
maybe like Master Chief versus Batman or something. It was just utter
Oh,
craziness,
cool.
but they were really well shot, very very good production quality. I don't know what they're called. I'm sure they wouldn't be that hard to find, but
Yeah.
there was a channel that was producing that, and I thought like the battles were epic.
I thought you were talking about Death Battle. Like their most controversial one on Death Battle is Superman versus Goku.
Well, these are like short
Oh.
films.
Yeah.
Mhm. That is an interesting
yeah.
session. Yeah, that's a
Well,
podcast.
Superman
on its
would
own.
win.
Yes.
Superman would just like stomp.
No, I don't think
He
so.
would though.
I don't
He
think
would,
so.
though.
No,
He would.
Superman has the strength. Goku could blow up. Goku could probably destroy the entire universe if he wanted. The click of a
So
finger.
could Superman.
I know he couldn't.
okay.
No, he couldn't.
Here's a feat from Superman. Here's something that Superman has done. Okay, in the less than the time it took to blink, he went to like every galaxy in the universe, every planet that had sentient life, because there was like some threatening thing where there was missiles, like I don't know, destroying the planets, and so he went to every galaxy of every thing in the universe and stopped those missiles in less time than it took to blink. Now,
Is he that
Goku,
fast?
He is.
Right.
I mean, well,
The
according
Flash
to the
is
writers,
fast,
he's that
Well,
fast.
the Flash is
Wow,
weak as
okay.
fuck. So
Yeah. Well, yeah. And
Goku's pretty fast. I mean,
Yeah, but
they're
not-
they're
not
fast
nearly
enough
that
that they could
fast.
like block or dodge a barrage of bullets.
Instant transmission.
I was just going to say instant transmission. I mean, Goku could
Yeah.
probably transport everywhere. He wouldn't be as fast as Superman, maybe. I
No.
don't know. But
Mm.
I mean, I think if you have the destructive power with a spirit bomb or something to destroy an entire universe, Superman doesn't have that power. He doesn't-
Superman survived a supernova.
Yes, but that's not the same as like what energy can he output that would destroy a galaxy apart from the beams in his eyes?
Like,
That's it.
All of the energy.
No, he can't Kamehameha or anything.
But the
can't
thing
shoot
is, like,
beams apart from lasers in his
Superman-
eyes, and that's not going to destroy a galaxy.
has been written by like loads of different people. So like people are like, oh, Superman can do anything. So literally he can, and I mean it, he can do anything. It's
Do
stupid. It's
anything.
ridiculous, but he can do anything.
We need to do a bracket
But can
competition
he?
tournament style because I want to get to the bottom.
I don't
of these
even like
discussions.
Superman,
really
but he can do
We should do that for
anything.
next week. I
He's
think.
God.
Who does Superman have to do a fusion dance with? That's my question.
Exactly.
He can probably
Nobody.
clone himself
Nobody.
and do it with himself.
With
That's probably what he can do. He can probably travel back in time, which he can because he's faster than the speed of light. Go meet that Superman and do a fusion dance with him.
You know,
So
We're going to pick characters
That
and
needs
we're
to
going to do a
happen.
bracket. This is happening. We are going to do that because I think there's going to be
Superman
something
will
very
win.
interesting to.
I
No, he
don't
won't.
like it.
He can't.
But he will.
No, I disagree.
He's not my
hugely.
favorite character. I don't like him very much, but he can do anything that the writers want him to do. So
Mm,
I don't know.
This
I
is
don't
true.
know. I don't think so. I think you're wrong.
Oh, I love that. We should dedicate an episode to
I
battles.
think so. Just we'll take the best, most iconic characters of all time and just
Mhm.
put them in a battle.
Battle them together.
Hitler versus Mussolini.
Yeah.
Who would win? Fascist versus fascist.
fictitious characters only.
Wrong. It doesn't count. Boris Johnson will jump in and make everybody more fascist than they were before.
Wow.
So
True.
Where were we?
Love it. Where were we indeed?
we were on games. So
We're
anyway.
on
games.
games.
Yeah.
I'm playing a game at the minute. We're on games. I'm playing Disco Elysium. Has anybody heard of it?
I seen that
Ooh,
today. I
no,
just seen
what's
like a
that?
thumbnail or something, but I've no
It's-
idea what it is.
It's Disco Elysium Final Cut. So like it's a new version that's been released. They've like updated it so that everything is like fully voiced in a smooth baritone. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. You wake up, you've forgotten everything, and you wake up in this like dystopian future place called Revachol. And basically, if you like existentialist philosophy and socio-political commentary, you'll like this game. you like decide what political affiliation you should be. You sort of go into your head and you've got like loads of different sections of your brain that you can switch on, like the limbic system
Oh.
or rhetoric or logic or things like that. And you converse with people and you make like lots of decisions. It's a very branching kind of game. It's cool. It's cool. It's
Right.
slow, but it's cool. Like it's one of those ones where it kind of creeps up on you and you're like, yeah, not much is happening. But then you find yourself thinking about it and you're like, oh, there was one bit where I convinced a rich woman to give me some money. And then I beat her in a game of rhetoric and calling her a bourgeoisie leech. So, you know, there's that kind of thing that you
That
can do.
sounds like a lot of fun.
Wow, that does sound really cool. Instead of like selecting your abilities when you make your character, it's like you
Mhm.
go into your brain and like that's really
Yeah.
awesome.
I will look into
Wow.
It's
Disco
good. Like,
Elysium. I thought it was going to be some kind of like dance-off game or something. Disco Elysium. I don't know. I thought
no.
it was going to be like
that. I kind of thought that
I got a
myself, to
dance
be
machine
honest.
at
You should
home.
know that's not a game I would play. I play
know, right?
the
Like, that's really
philosophical
Mhm.
political games.
But you played Beat Saber, it's not far off.
I've played Beat Saber.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
true.
Although it's got lightsabers,
Yeah.
so that makes
But
it
Beat
okay.
Saber is like a lot of commentary on how rote learning is, and
Yeah.
Mm.
that's what I choose to take from it.
I grew up with Theme Hospital. If anybody's ever played that by Bullfrog.
I've played Theme. Is it like theme park or something like that?
Yeah. I'm not sure it's the
Oh.
same people. I'm not 100% sure, but I loved playing that as a kid. And I do have a Switch, and I had found that they had done like Theme Hospital 2. So it's the same kind of game, same premise really, but obviously it's just expanded on what you can do more. And I don't know, I just love games where you go in and you build a business and you have to watch all the money and finances and hire people and just kind of
Capitalist.
manage everything. Like I really enjoy games like that because I was tempted to buy the Jurassic Park version, the
Oh.
PS4 a few weeks
No.
back, where you build your own Jurassic Park, and if you're not
Yeah.
careful, they could break out and kill people and ruin everything. And I
I would
don't
let
know
them.
why. I enjoy games
Just
like
to
that.
Yeah,
Let
where you
loose
like
the
you're
raptors.
managing stuff.
Mm-hmm. Hire and fire. I'm just waiting for Mass Effect to come out.
There's Theme Park World that I used to play. Yeah, that was fun. Like just setting up your wee theme park so that people would go around it in an orderly fashion. So
The only place you have any real power,
Mm.
at least in my life.
Yeah.
That's where you get your
Yeah.
control.
What's that? What's that? You didn't clean out the bins? Fired. Just reduce their
My
pay.
family needs to pay the bills. My sister's got cancer. Who cares? You're not
Bye.
making me money.
Yeah, I need to buy a
Bye.
vending machine.
Yeah.
But
Sorry,
you've
your
not been
job is
restocking.
obsolete.
Yep. I love those
You've been
games.
replaced with a sticker.
I did find out actually over the weekend there. I'm a big fan of the KOTOR series of Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
By
I played
BioWare.
KOTOR 2.
Yeah, and it was 2 years ago. I found that they had made it for the phones. You could buy it off the Google Play Store for a couple £2, and it's really fun. It's really good. I love that I could go back to that, and I remember then wanting to play KOTOR 2, but I had to play it on the Xbox 360, and it was for the original Xbox. So whatever way they've ported it over, there's constant like frame tearing and frame rate drops.
Mm.
The minute even there's two people shooting blasters, it really slows down, and I got annoyed at that. I trudged through it, but then the other day my friend told me, he goes, "Oh, they've got KOTOR 2 now on Google Play Store." I mean, it's a tenner, but I thought I may eventually actually download that and give it a go there. So I'm quite excited for that.
Mm.
I'm a bit gutted about the fact that they don't do Yoda Chronicles anymore. Did anyone play that? It was like
What's
a
that?
phone game,
No, I've
maybe
never
like
heard that.
5 years ago. Oh my goodness,
Okay.
guys. It was like it made my dreams come true. It was so good.
What kind of
was
game
like
was it?
it was like you were guided by Yoda, and you had to like I think you could choose like red or blue at the start. You could choose to be a Jedi or a Sith. And then it was just lots of missions. So there was always like 5 objectives to like get certain things done, and then there was other levels where if you like killed 100 drones, or there was always like different things.
Yeah.
So you could go back and play every level for different accomplishments and things, which was really cool. But it was just so much fun, and you could like fight the Rancor, and there was like one where you're flying and you're like hitting certain targets, and it was the best. It was so good. I had such like good memories of it. And then I went to see if it was a real thing or if I just dreamed it a couple of weeks ago. And it does not exist anymore in the world.
Oh,
There's only
no.
just little like screenshots on Google Images. So I was just like scrolling through those sadly, just being like, oh yeah, I remember that bit. That was really fun. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Was
I
it
mean, not
button
to tear
masher?
apart the logic of a phone game, but what's Yoda doing training a Sith?
I know, right?
Oh, that's
Imagine
true.
you'd picked, because obviously I picked Jedi.
Maybe
guess,
it's a
'cause,
dark.
I'm
Is
a
it
Jedi.
Yoda? It is Yoda. This training.
It's Yoda Chronicles, and he's like guiding you through. He
It
like
is
comes
dark
up.
Maybe
side
he's
one is
guiding you
Yoda.
through as a Padawan, but then you're turning. No, or you're just bad from the get go.
You can be bad from the get go. I never played a
Does he
Sith. I
question
should have
you?
really have tried that. No, he's given you like tips and things, and kind of guides you at
You
the
just
start. And
murder
then your
people,
missions
Tim.
are
Don't
kind of
murder
your own.
people.
Electrocute them.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, electrocute them. You must.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'll never get the chance to be Sith in that game and see what Yoda was going to
Damn.
tell me.
You can always just go back and play the Force Unleashed.
I was going to say, you kind of got to be a
Exactly.
Sith in the Force
Yeah,
Unleashed
yeah.
a bit, and then
Yeah,
you got
that's
turned
good.
into a
I can do
Jedi.
that. That's
Oh,
good. I can do
Mhm.
that.
You know.
That's why I play the KOTOR games. You can just be a Sith. Well, you're not really a Sith, but you can be a dickhead and just be a dickhead the whole way through.
Yeah. Just while we're on the topic of sci-fi, as I said, I've been reading a lot. Are any of you like big readers or audiobook listeners, or
I would love to get
Love
into
a book.
audiobooks. I would love to get back in.
well, audiobooks are
I say
class. I
back
love
in the
them.
audiobooks, but I'd like to get into audiobooks. I think just I'm enjoying podcasts a lot more. And
Yeah.
I think audiobooks is maybe a good bridge back into books. But like I have a shelf full of books, from when I was a
Yeah.
kid, all these ones down
Mm.
here. And I haven't read them in a long time, but they still hold a very near and dear place in my heart. Especially there's one by Darren Shan there.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember the
Did
name.
he do like the skullduggery thing?
It's
or
Cirque du
something?
Freak. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
And for some reason, it's a book I read a lot as a kid, and for some
Yeah.
reason, like I every now and again I just go back and read it, just more for nostalgia, but because
Mm.
I mean the books aren't great, but
Yeah.
they just remind me of a kid. So, but I have other books there that were genuinely good. So I'm a bit upset that I lost my way, but I wear glasses. I probably just wear them when I'm reading, but I did try a few times to start reading again, and I can't find a book that interests me enough, or it just causes strain in my eyes.
Well, if you're looking for a book to read, well, I've been reading loads. I mostly like fantasy stuff. Couple of science fictiony things. But yesterday I finished I, Robot by Isaac
Oh
Asimov.
wow! I have read the short stories,
Yeah.
the little kind of like collection. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
it's
like
good.
my whole for my thesis. Like that was why I
Yeah.
was like, maybe I should write about artificial intelligence because this is really cool. And then
Yeah.
it exploded and I got really obsessed with all of that stuff. Yeah,
it's good.
so
Like,
good.
I can't believe it was released in 1950 because it reads
know.
almost like a modern book apart from the dates
It's
in it, where it's
wild.
like
Mhm.
in 2021 we went to Mars, and you're like, no, we
Yeah.
didn't.
No.
But it's so cool. I love the logic he sets up in it, with the three laws,
Mhm.
and the way he breaks them, and the way he makes the robots fall in between them and like malfunction and go. You start questioning things. It was really
Mhm.
fun. So, and if you're looking for a book to read, if you like sci-fi, that's the birthplace of modern sci-fi, really.
Joe,
Wah, 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 wah.
can I borrow your book?
It's on Kindle. So
Oh,
we start
no,
with
I don't
this
have
one?
a Kindle. I'm not paying for it.
well, it's on my iPad Kindle app thing.
My money goes in games and movies.
Yeah. It's class though. I was really surprised because I've never read it up until now. It's always been one of those ones where I've been meaning to read it, but you're like, classic sci-fi, how good can that be? I like some classic books, but classic sci-fi are what's somebody going to do? Like put some steam in something and turn
Right.
back time. But just compared to the movie, the Will Smith movie, I've heard that nothing in the movie is like to do with the book. And upon reading it, I can confirm 100%
Right.
nothing in that
Yeah.
movie is to do with the book
Definitely not.
at all.
Yeah.
The book is so much
completely
better, more
separate.
philosophical. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the story it's not even remotely kind of close. The book and the movie.
The
none
only
at
thing
all.
they
I mean, it
take is the
takes
three laws.
themes.
Mhm.
Yeah, it takes the themes, but it doesn't really. No, none of
Is it the
the.
theme of loss?
No, the three laws.
Or the three laws?
That's
Yes.
all it takes. But even in the movie, the robots break the three laws.
Mhm.
Vicky, the artificial intelligence, is like killing people, and you're like, I'm sorry, a robot would never do that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Robot cannot actively harm a human being. It was good.
Mhm.
It was good.
I'm
Would
intrigued.
recommend.
I'm intrigued.
And if you're looking for recommendations, if you're looking for fantasy, I would always recommend The Magicians by Lev Grossman. My favorite series.
Oh, I have a friend reading that. Said it's really
Yeah.
good.
It is really good.
Ooh.
You're not going to like the characters because they're all assholes, but there's so many things in it
I
where
can relate to that.
I can relate. And there's like things where, Quentin does something. I'm like, oh God, this book's about me. Stop.
You're like, I'm attacked. I'm attacked by this right
I
now.
feel attacked by you, Lev Grossman.
I wish I was one of these people because my dad is like this where he's reading the book and he's always telling me about it. He loves his Tom Clancy, but he's furthered himself beyond Tom Clancy now. But he's telling me he's reading, whatever book it is that he's reading at the time. And then he's like, oh, I can't wait to get home tonight. I'm just about to get into this new chapter and see what such and such is doing. And, and I just think that's how I feel about movies.
Mm.
I would love to find a book. I've tried several times. I'd love to find a book that engrossed me that much that at the end of the day, I can't wait to get home and read that next chapter. You know, that I have been scouring for one. I would even go to favorite franchises. Like I love The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the Swedish version. I absolutely love it. I think it's a great franchise. And I tried reading the books and I just couldn't get into it. And that's one of my favorite movies, actually.
We might be losing a little something because that would be probably translated from Swedish into English.
Maybe.
You need a good translator and a creative translator. I've never read those.
I need an audiobook.
Audiobooks are good. Star Wars audiobooks are class. They do the full-on production. Like whenever there's a ship, you hear the ship. Whenever there's lightsaber battles, you hear the lightsabers.
Oh, wow.
It's really good. And the voice actors, they do the voices. I would recommend Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. It's a really good audiobook. It's even though I like the movie, the book is so much better than the movie. Right. Anakin is like
I love listening to podcasts through the radio in my car, actually. So it'd be really interesting actually to get a good audiobook and just stick it on.
Yeah.
As you say, that'll be a good bridge to kind of get back into like reading and the kind of mentality of having a good book instead of, because I think we're so used to now just sticking a film on and just kind of.
I mean, there's always you just never know. Maybe now I'm just too dumb.
Okay.
No. I think I could enjoy a good book. I just have to find a good book. I think so. Yes, end of podcast. That was it.
I'm just dumb. Bye.
Bye. That's the conclusion. Well, I am reading Casino Royale by Ian Fleming. I think it was his first Bond novel.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Really good, really descriptive. Oh my goodness, metaphor galore. Fleming loves a metaphor. He describes the cards on the table. He says that they are licking along the table and all these different ways to like describe.
That's a nice metaphor. I got the real image there.
You're seeing it, you're feeling it, you're hearing it. It's really, really,
so
really
Casino Royale and
iRobot or The Magicians.
And he started writing these down.
Or I would say any of Fleming's would probably be really, I'd love to try a few more. I love the film Casino Royale. So I thought,
I'm going to use that licking metaphor for everything.
Great metaphor. And that something about the table, because it's this green, card table where they play, something about that it was like a crocodile. He used like a crocodile metaphor or something
right.
It's kind of like you're at sea, like you're kind of, floating around.
Okay.
Yeah. So descriptive, really crazy. Like you're in the casino and you're feeling the smoke of everybody around you.
You're in debt. You're spending all your money.
You're there and everyone's sweating and it's like, it's intense, but very good. And then I got to like the torture part, and in the film, it's not really, it's touched upon, but it's not really, like whatever. But I thought, this is a book. It's really going to go into
how is the torture scene done actually? Because
psychology.
In the movie,
like how he's feeling.
I was going to say, in the movie, there's the part where he swings the big bit of rope with whatever weight it is there up against the balls.
Yeah.
How descriptive does that get?
It gets quite descriptive, yeah.
Yeah, so dangling moistly.
I was telling everyone I was like waiting to read it, like when I was kind of, I don't know, I was just like, I don't want to read it yet. I know what's gonna, but it was actually fine.
Not hit his balls.
It was.
It was painful, but it was also slightly
painful to watch. It was painful to watch. I remember seeing it in the cinema, and you could just tell all the guys are like, just jumping in their seats.
Yeah, but it went into kind of how Bond was trained to react to torture and all the kind of training that he had.
There's no level of torture that trains you for that.
Oh, true. Oh, very true. So there was a whole thing. But you know what? It's actually fine. He passes out pretty soon.
Yeah.
And then it's all just happening and he's pretty gone. So it's all good. And now he's in recovery and we're in the hospital and it's all coming
Vesper.
up rosy. Yeah, he is.
I wonder. I don't think they're usable after that. I don't know.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, they may not be.
I don't know.
Really. I mean, he may not be able to have children.
He needs a while.
He probably doesn't want children. It's James Bond.
Yeah.
True.
I wonder, like, as a spy,
Jim Bond.
Was he sterilized,
Oh.
Because you wouldn't want like baby spies running about, would you?
That's very true.
Baby espionage.
He does have a lot of sex with a lot of women, so he doesn't really want to be fathering children all over the world.
If you want a descriptive book that describes violence, I'll tell you. American Psycho.
I don't know if I want to read that book.
Absolutely mental.
Oh goodness.
Mental. Like sickeningly mental, but brilliant. It's such a good book. Like you're in the head of Patrick Bateman for the whole thing, and if you want to know what it feels like to be a serial killer, well, Bret Easton Ellis got you covered with Patrick Bateman.
Is that a
Wow.
good thing?
Yeah.
It
Off the
twists
back
your
of those
mind.
documentaries, Ryan.
Me and a friend,
Yeah.
me and a friend were reading it together, and like both our minds were twisted by this book. We were like, oh my God, this is just messing me up. And we both hit parts of the book that hit us differently, and we were like, I couldn't read that part, and he was like, but I couldn't read this part, and I was like, I was fine with that bit, but
That's
I could
really
not read
cool.
this.
We need to read
That
a
must have been
book,
really interesting
and we
reading
all
it
need to
together.
just
Maybe we
annotate
need to
it
start a
and
book
do an
club.
episode. We'll just do an episode on a
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Mhm,
And then
mhm.
we've all read it. Oh, that's cool. I
Something
like
with like 10 pages in it, lots of color, big letters.
that.
Well, if you want a short story that's good, it's the Yellow Wallpaper.
Oh.
It's like a really, really short story, and it was by a woman who, I haven't read this in years. I think we read this for school. One of the prescriptions for like mental illness back in the day, was to sit in a room devoid of any stimulation whatsoever and stare at a wallpaper. And she wrote
Wow.
a wee short story sort of chronicling that experience. And from what I can remember of it, it's quite like eye-opening in a weird way, but I haven't read it in so long. So
I like
we could
that.
do a reread of that and talk about
We
it.
should. That sounds really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Anything else anybody has done?
I wonder if
or-
anybody was listening to any music. We have a few minutes left anyway, but is anybody listening to any good music at the minute?
Nothing
Uh,
new.
Kings of Leon had a new album recently.
Oh yeah.
It's quite good. Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
only joking.
wow.
I'm only joking.
This
I'm
is
only
just
joking.
rude. Why does everyone hate the Kings of Leon? This is
I
so,
don't hate them.
this
They're
makes me
just,
so sad.
they're just not that good.
Are they generic? Is that why? Is it like they're
It
too
It probably is that they're just a little bit generic, but yeah.
Way bit generic.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Okay.
I'm
Well,
neutral
You
towards
do
them.
you, Zara. You do you.
I will.
I'm not
I've
gonna
loved them
tell
since I
you
was
what
15,
you can and
so I
can't
don't
enjoy.
feel like I jumped on any
Yeah.
bandwagons.
No, you don't have to explain yourself to me. Don't worry.
I know I don't, but
I know I don't,
just,
but I
you know,
feel
filling
like
in
it.
the blanks there. Just
Mhm.
letting you know where
Yeah.
I came
No,
from.
don't you worry about it. It's okay.
So yeah, great album, very thoughtful lyrics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What kind of music do you listen to, Ryan? Let me shit all over it.
I did go through a period there where I'll listen to scores from movies. I think we've discussed that
Ooh,
before. Like I
yeah.
love listening to good scores from movies. But growing up, I actually hated music. Hated it. Just didn't appeal to me in the slightest. Even if I got in the
Mm.
car, I would just turn the radio off. It's just
Wow.
something I did. And then I hit about 15, and my friend Michael actually introduced me to a Finnish rock band called Him.
Oh,
Yes.
Is
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with him, and then rock music, and then from that, then I went from him into Nightwish, which is another Finnish rock band, and then I went into
Yeah.
Lordi, which is another Finnish rock band.
mm,
And for years, I just listened to those three bands, and then I started expanding. So now I can kind of listen to nearly anything and enjoy nearly anything, but I do enjoy like that kind of Finnish rock style, and I just love 80s rock. I love 80s rock
Easy
music.
rock is cool. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good.
Love
Sometimes
that.
I
So
like
that's what
putting
I'm
on a
listening to.
70s or 80s playlist when I'm in the shower.
Mhm.
Yeah.
like-
Very good. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say I'd do that. I'd go for a run. Yeah. Just getting some nice visuals there. Just do Joe dancing in the shower.
Yeah.
Yeah, shaking that booty. Yeah. But no, lately I haven't really been listening to music. Sometimes because I can't read or work when I'm listening to music. It's too distracting. I get
Oh.
like too into the into the music.
Okay.
But sometimes after like I've finished writing for the day or something, I'll sit for half an hour, and just like listen to real sort of like Zen chill out music.
Mm,
Like last night I was
yeah.
listening to the Clone Wars season 7 soundtrack
Oh.
where they were playing, it was like a chill soundtrack, and it helps consolidate a lot of ideas in
Mm.
my head. If I've been sort of mulling over something, I'll let the music create images in my mind and go, oh, I see where that could go or whatever. And if I go, I like that feeling, then I'll try and
Well,
pursue that
certain
feeling while
songs
I'm
are
listening to
going to put
music.
you in a certain headspace.
Mm,
So
That's
that's
really
what I do with
helpful.
music. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
I love that. I'm the opposite, actually. I kind of need some sound when I'm working. I need either something on the background that's just kind of. I said to my friend recently, I really like being in a busy coffee shop and doing work.
Mm.
And she said, I'm the same. I need something that kind of elevates my senses. I kind of
Mhm.
can't, if I sat in silence, I wouldn't get anything done.
Now,
I
you're
was
one
like,
of
I'm the
these
same.
people that
That's
just
weird.
can't sit quietly.
I just need something else going on that
Mhm.
kind of helps me focus weirdly. I don't know. It's
I don't
Yeah.
know. I would be like too ADHD when it comes to that. I'd be like, oh, what's that over there?
oh, right. Yeah. You'd be like, what?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. What? Any excuse to procrastinate?
I'm the
Noticing
same.
things. Yeah.
Very short attention
So I need
span.
to like be silent and like just focus on whatever I'm doing because like
Mm.
my brain will just go, "What's that over there? I know I'm
It'll just
supposed to
pick
be
up
doing
on
this, but
I've been doing this
shut
thing
up,
where
brain."
I'll think, right, there's something here that's holding my attention, and I'm going to pay attention for as long as I can, and I'm going to try and note the moment that my brain drifts. So I'm thinking about, or I'm listening, and I'm repeating the words in my head of whatever it is I'm listening to, and then I've went off on a tangent, and then I catch myself in that tangent. I'm like, oh shit. And then I don't even know how long I've been in that tangent. So I can never
Right.
clock how long my
long you're
attention
able to
span
focus.
lasts. Yes, I think it's like a
Yeah.
minute.
You need to practice mindfulness.
I probably should. Yeah. I just jump all over the radar.
Mine is like we were learning during my masters the Pomodoro technique where you sort of like 15 minutes on and then you take a break.
Mm.
And I sort of naturally do that. It's not like I like consciously do it. I naturally kind of like work for 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever, and then just sort of stop and then like daydream for a minute or two and go, oh, back to work.
All right. Yeah, that is a good way to, because it keeps you more focused in the long run. I suppose if you're taking
Yeah.
more breaks, you're kind of able to get more done.
Yeah,
I
you
tend to
look
set
lazy, but-
myself an hour to do a task like an assignment and then I kind of go off and do something else for an hour, and then I have to come back and do it. I seem to do hours on and off, time wise. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, productivity and all that stuff.
What do you do, listener? Tell us in the comments below.
Tell us in the comments. How do you work?
Yeah. Okay, listeners, thanks for attending our board meeting today. We got a lot done. We got a lot of plans for Q2, 3, and 4 of 2021 and on to next year. There'll be year-on-year growth. So why don't you help in that growth with some shares and likes and listens? And this has been 8-Bit Popcorn. We've enjoyed your company. Thanks for coming to the meeting. Say bye, CFO Ryan.
Bye-bye. See you next
And
week.
say goodbye, Head of Marketing Zara.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from your CEO, Joe.
Nice. Very good. Very smooth, Joe. Very smooth.
That was just
Loved
off the
it.
top of my fucking head.
That was really good.
That was very good.